Here at Macau, as part of the 72nd Macau Grand Prix weekend, we have a new event. It is the FIA F4 World Cup, the Macau Formula 4 race. And yesterday, they had the qualifying race, which gives us the grid for this main race. And it promises to be a really good 10-lap race. A Formula 4 car is a 1300cc turbocharged one-make category. Everybody comes here with one team operating the cars. It's a central source, if you like, and it really is a very level playing field. And bearing in mind that you're looking at drivers who are only from the age of 16 upwards, there's a lot of pressure on them. They're too young to drive on public roads, never mind anything else. Well, these are public roads, closed for the purposes of the Macau Grand Prix weekend, but what a circuit it makes. David Addison, Alan Hyde are trackside, and we're looking forward to this, Alan, aren't we? Because these type of single-seaters, this width of single-seater, is really good around Macau.
We made the point as soon as they arrived in 2020 as part of the Macau Grand Prix race for 3 years here in Macau, and instantly when they took to the track on Thursday morning, they just looked right, didn't they? Yeah. They looked nimble, they looked light, they looked quick, and that's perfectly what you want on a circuit which has got just about everything. It's got really narrow parts of the track with the barriers either side, as you can see when we're on board with Keen Nakamura Berta. Those barriers on the top part of the circuit into the right-handers, the tight right-handers at Police and Moorish corner, and then the long left-hander, the twists of Donna Maria up towards the Melco hairpin where you can't overtake. It is that narrow. But a nimble little F4 car is absolutely perfect. And you made the point yesterday, and hadn't really thought about it before, that we have drivers that are young enough to not have a road car licence, so they can't drive on the roads. But here, for 4 days of the year, they can.
Yes, you can just imagine, can't you, having their first driving lesson. Have you got any experience on the public road? Well, I've done Macau. Oh, well, you know, you've passed. This is Keen Nakamura Berta. He's a British driver. He's the Italian F4 champion. Came here really with a very, very strong reputation, and he was in the wall on the opening lap of the race yesterday at Lisboa, and he could not believe it. You could see the expression and the body language. He just couldn't understand that what should have been a good result for him had disappeared. The same was true of the man that was on pole position, and that was Sebastian Weldon, son of the late Dan Weldon, because he slithered into the barriers. And one of the big stories of the weekend has been the British champion, Finn McLaughlin, who had an awful Thursday with a car that just did not work. He was given a replacement chassis and engine and got himself mid-grid. Here he is. And yesterday, after all the dramas at Lisboa, he was in second place and squabbling for the race lead. And we thought, no, he's playing this safe. He's going to be second and get on the front row. And coming out of the Melco hairpin on the last lap, just somehow, we've not seen it before, managed to hook the right rear wheel round the barrier and break the rear suspension. So he didn't get to the end of the race. And again, he could not believe it.
Nor could we. Nor could anybody. And he reposted the video yesterday of that unfortunate finish to the qualification race, and then said in his post last night, "I'll be back tomorrow." So this is going to be one to watch. Finn McLaughlin, I think the story, or if you like, a slogan of his 4 days here at Macau is never give up. Because he didn't turn a wheel in free practice 1, didn't really turn a wheel in free practice 2. He got a new car, a new chassis to experience qualifying, straight into qualifying, and was able to do amazing things and qualify in 6th place, and was looking like he'd be on the podium, but for that little tap of the right rear wheel going around the Melco hairpin, which is quite inexplicable, really.
And this, the run down through the Solitude S's towards Faraway Hill, and Finn McLaughlin, like all of them, all bar one I should say, racing here for the first time. At this point it's really hard to find a reference because it just seems to go from one left to right to left to right. Eventually you get through Pyle and drop down towards Police, and at the bottom of the hill you go right through Police and make the climb up towards Moorish. This is Police. Slightly more open right-hander, early break for Moorish. You think the corner is a long way ahead, but it's so tight, you've got to slow down really early. And then he's still climbing at this point up towards the long approach to Donna Maria, and then it's a long left-hander itself. It's slightly, ever so slightly back, just tilts you to the left a little bit. Very narrow section of the circuit here. This is the aforementioned Melco hairpin. You see a yellow line on the inside, which you're not allowed to cross either, because otherwise you'll never make it round the corner with the lock, and then the road opens up coming down through Black Sands, and that was the corner yesterday that caught out Finn McLaughlin. From here on in, really good fast part of the circuit, speed building. You're heading down towards Fisherman's, and when you get out of this next right-hander, suddenly the road goes from 2 lanes to 4, and it is paradise. You've got all that width of circuit.
You can imagine how much they look forward to this part of the circuit, can't you, in a Formula 4 car. And Finn McLaughlin is a very, very good driver. He claimed the British F4 Championship this year, and he did it in great style, taking 5 race wins. I was excited to see him competing on the streets of Macau, but it's not been an easy story, as so often is the story of a driver on a trip to Macau, and I think we can expect a great race coming up from Finn McLaughlin. Yesterday was the disappointment. Let's see what he can do today. Right, so the cars lining up on the grid. The team personnel are down there, and the grid boards marking the point at which they need to come to a stop. 2 single-seater categories this weekend here at Macau, which is fairly rare. You normally see just the Formula Regional, or previously the Formula 3 cars competing for the Macau Grand Prix. But agree absolutely 100% with David. It's really good to see Formula 4 cars on the timetable for this weekend.
And these are not slow cars either. The run down towards Mandarin and from that section to Lisboa, 230 kilometers an hour, 6th gear, and then you're down to 80 kph in 2nd gear for Lisboa itself. Emanuele Olivieri, as the winner yesterday, is going to line up on pole position, and Jules Roussel, runner-up in the French Championship, will be alongside. This is Ryan Coretti, another driver that has come from the French F4 Championship. He was 4th in that, double winner this season, and made some pretty decent progress yesterday. Now, this is the youngest driver on the grid. He was 16 only 4 days ago, Ari Bansal, and the Indian driver has won the GB4 Championship, which is effectively a UK series for the older iteration of F4 car, and the Elite Motorsport driver going very well this weekend. Number 61 there is Kimi Chan, and he's another of the drivers that has been in Chinese F4 this season and has been a race winner. So it's a quality field, this. You've got lots of champions and lots of race winners and a jumbled grid. In fact, we've almost got a reverse grid, because Finn McLaughlin starting 12th, 14th is the French champion Alex Munoz, 15th is the poleman yesterday Sebastian Weldon, 16th is the Italian champion Keen Nakamura Berta, 17th is Thomas Behrman, who's been a race winner in British F4, and 19th is the Central European Zone champion Gino Trapper. So a reverse grid race in a sense.
Poor television director, we're not going to know where to look, are we? Goodness me, this is a very exciting race, and it's what single-seaters at Macau at the end of a season is all about, because when we have international champions coming from domestic championships all around the world to compete, if you like, for the driver that is going to be deemed to be elite in this year around Macau. It's just something to enjoy, something to savour this, and you can tell that all these young drivers, this is going to be a memory in their motor racing career that they will remember forever.
F4 did us proud at Macau in the COVID period, because it was the category that ran for the Grand Prix. It was the Chinese Championship, and because of the travel restrictions, it was really the only single-seater category that could tick the box. It was then rewarded with a race or an event, so race each day, at the 70th anniversary weekend in 2023. And here we are with a brand new FIA badged race. We've had F4 at the FIA Motorsport Games in the past, but now here with a World Cup. That's Rintaro Sato, son of Takuma Sato, winner of the Macau Grand Prix. He did race here last year, in fact, Rintaro, and also in Japanese F4. This year he's been racing in France in the French Championship, French F4, where he won at Lebanon.
And these young drivers are going to have experienced quite such a busy grid before. If you have a look at the build-up to this race, just double it, treble it, quadruple it, and that's what we have building up to the FR World Cup a little bit later on for the Macau Grand Prix. But this is a first glimpse into what things are going to be like. And you know what? If these drivers come back next year and they are competing in the Macau Grand Prix, they have had this experience to get used to everything about the Macau Grand Prix. It's going to really equip them very nicely indeed.
It is indeed. That's Emily Cotti, who was in the race yesterday and in qualifying, the Chichester-born driver who has been in the Italian and Middle East Championships this year. Keen Nakamura Berta then, the Italian champion, although he is a British driver with a Japanese mum and a Slovak father. He was the runner-up last year also in the UAE Championship. Sebastian Weldon then, who's been 5 times a winner in Italian F4. He's been a race winner in the Middle East F4 Championship this season and affiliated to the Andretti Global brand. Of course, his father raced for Andretti twice at Indy. Now, that's somebody that has raced here in F4 in the past, the 2023 Chinese F4 champion Thiago Rodriguez, and therefore he does know the track and he does know the cars, but he crashed yesterday, tripped over Thomas Behrmann, who was already in the barriers at Moorish. Grandstand's pretty full already, and it's early in the morning yet. It's only just gone 9:10. That is Thomas Behrmann. He is the younger brother of Ollie Behrmann, Grand Prix driver, of course, for Haas. He's the son of David, who used to do a bit of MG racing, and Thomas was a race winner in British F4 this season gone. After him on the grid, you will get to Gino Trapper, who is going to be the final driver, and the Central European Zone champion has had a pretty tough weekend. There he is. So 2 incidents, and he's got work to do from the very back.
Because this grid kind of tells the story of the journey so far, but this is the race on its own. This is the 10-lap race where heroes are made, and a quick handshake with the British F4 champion, Finn McLaughlin. He's been riding uphill pretty much for the whole of this weekend, but I'm not sure that any of the climbs have been quite as big as the one that faces him over the next 10 laps. But by no means right off in McLaughlin. I think this could be a very entertaining race from the back of the grid for a number of the drivers. You were talking about Sebastian Weldon in car number 98, of course, qualified on pole position for the qualification race yesterday, and now finds himself on the 3rd to final row of the grid. So there are mountains to climb from the back of the grid, but in Macau, you know, anything can happen. Let's see what does as it emerges over 10 laps for the FIA F4 World Cup. The Macau Formula 4 race is coming up.
You can make progress on the run down to Lisboa, and that's a key part of the lap, as Emanuele Olivieri, the Middle East champion, winner yesterday, lines up on pole from Jules Roussel and Ryan Caretti. Ari Bansal is 4th ahead of Kimi Chan and Li Qiuho. Simon Zhang, the Chinese champion, will go from 7th ahead of Itsuki Sato, Marcus Chung and Wang Yuzhe. Rintaro Sato is 11th ahead of the British champion Finn McLaughlin. Emily Cotti 13th ahead of the French champion Alexandre Munoz. Sebastian Weldon is 15th ahead of the Italian champion Keen Nakamura Berta. There's Thomas Behrmann ahead of Thiago Rodriguez. There's Gino Trapper, the Central European Zone champion, to round out the grid. 10 laps are ahead of us then. The drivers on Pirelli tyres will be released in due course. They'll get that formation lap underway, and as the cars then will be released, A, you've got to make a good start. B, you've got to get a slipstream down towards Lisboa, because places can be gained. But equally, you've got to keep out of trouble at Lisboa. I still think people are going to gain places because of incidents ahead. So, yes, it is going to be fascinating to see how quickly the likes of a McLaughlin or a Nakamura Berta, for example, or a Weldon can get through traffic before Emanuele Olivieri, and there he is, the godson of Dindo Capello, checks out up the road. If he can get away while they're fighting their way through, he's going to be hard to stop. Now, look, that doesn't necessarily take into account the possibility of a safety car mid-race or anything like that, but he needs to build that gap while the other quick drivers are having to carve their way through. And it illustrates the importance of that qualifying race of keeping out of trouble. It's all very well attacking for position, but if it goes wrong and you end up compromising the main race, it wasn't worth it.
When you look back on that aerial shot, that high shot looking down the grid, you realise just how far it is from the front of the grid to the back of the grid. It is a big job, but you know, the opportunity for an interruption in the race and the opportunity to get a really, really good start right at the start of the race, then this is all going to add up to potentially giving a good result at the end of 10 laps. Here we go then, the final countdown, 10, 9, 8, until we have the green flag lap. And this is the bit that drivers like, when all of the personnel have left the grid, they're left alone to do what they do. Off they go on the green flag lap. Now the green flag waves, and they've got a job to do on this formation lap, and immediately Emanuele Oliveri starts doing that, and that is to weave the cars as much as they possibly can on this lap, in particular on these wide parts of the circuit, which forms the end of the gear circuit and the start of the next lap, to weave the cars as much as they possibly can, and to not be sat on their own at the front of the grid for too long, to lose all that temperature that they get into the tyres. It's a really warm day here. It's going to get warmer and warmer in the middle of this afternoon, so around about the kind of time that we're looking at the start of the Macau Grand Prix later on, it's going to be up to 27 degrees, hot and sunny.
Just one more thing to catch up on yesterday. Rintaro Sato was third across the line, but he was given a penalty post-race. Now, he'd been slow off the grid, and he had made up his place in order to be where he should have lined up, but he did not do it before the first safety car line. If you do not regain your place by the first safety car line, you must start from the pit lane, not the back, but the pit lane. He did not do that, therefore he was given a notional stop-go penalty, but as it was applied post-race, it had to be a time penalty, and 30 seconds therefore dropped Rintaro Sato from third to 11th place.
Here we go then, the formation lap for our first single-seater race of the day. 10 laps around the gear circuit here at Macau, looking back at the driver who has pole position. Ultimate concentration. You can't afford to drop that concentration for a single second, as we have seen so many times over the years here at Macau. Get some really good views as well from that mirrored visor on his helmet. My goodness, what an iconic shot you get back looking at a driver with the yellow and black barriers right the way around the circuit. We said it yesterday, when you see a photograph of a racing car on a circuit and you see in the background the yellow and black barriers, you know exactly where you are. You don't necessarily know which corner you're at, but it's an iconic feature, isn't it?
It is indeed, and the trees hanging over the circuit makes you think, is that really Macau? Because for many people the perception of high-rise blocks, neon lights, casinos, but here in the old part of Macau, you've got lots of greenery. The cars run around the reservoir at this part of the circuit, dropping down the hill, and Macau is a hugely busy and vibrant place. It's tempting to think that this is the entirety of it, but there are other islands which are even more modern in many respects. Go to the one of the others and you see all the huge casinos and hotels and shopping centres that are there. People coming from Hong Kong, from mainland China to Macau, coming for the Grand Prix, coming this weekend also for the National Games, which is a little bit like the sort of Commonwealth Games, if you like, from our side of the world. And it brings so many people to Macau. They have lots of festivals of, for example, there's a whiskey festival, a beer festival, there are sporting events, festival of food, exactly, yeah. So to the grid comes Olivieri.
Quite a way ahead of the rest of them. We did say that he's not going to want to sit there at the front of the grid for too long to allow the heat to dissipate in the tyres, but Olivieri has arrived on pole position quite a way ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's sort of up to him to control the pace and others to go with him, but Jules Roussel has arrived now, so Emanuele Olivieri in the green-nosed car, Jules Roussel on the outside of the front row, which is a result given that he got a grid drop for causing an incident in qualifying. And there is Gino Trapper, who has got a lot of work to do from the rear of the grid. History is about to be made because the first ever FIA F4 World Cup is just moments away from starting, and where better than on the streets of Macau. Young teenage drivers, Formula One, sports car, GT stars of the future, all set to do battle. Emanuele Olivieri is the driver on pole position. Jules Roussel lines up with him at the front of the grid. There will be 5 red lights. When the lights go out, We go racing, and a good getaway is made by Olivieri. A good start also by Jules Roussel to get up the inside line. Look, going down towards Reservoir for the first time, and Jules Roussel has the road come to him, and he's done it. He's up alongside, he's got his nose in front. But now he's going to be on the outside line all the way down towards the very fast right-hander of Mandarin. The blue car of Ryan Coretti comes to the outside. Roussel takes the lead. French Championship rival Coretti goes second. Olivieri drops to third. Bounside is fourth. Drama in the background. Simon Zhang is off the road. He's taken number 17 with him as well. So there's a big shunt already. It's going to bring out the safety car as we lose Itsuki Sato. Two have gone on the run down towards Lisboa, but it is going to be Jules Roussel from Ryan Coretti. More head up the escape road and into the wall. Plunges there, I'm afraid to say. The car of Ki-Hu Lee. So there's going to be a lot to sort out. The safety car will be triggered. Jules Roussel leads.
Roussel got a very good start, didn't he? Had to be very brave, hang it out on the outside. But he was very keen, and a super start by Jules Roussel from the outside of the front row of the grid. That went absolutely according to plan. The thing that maybe didn't go according to plan is that we would now have a number of cars which require recovery here in our in the first of a 10-lap race. But we said how important it is to get a really good start, and Emanuele Olivieri from pole position down there in third place is not going to be so happy about the way the start went for him. And down there in third place, he can see them in front of him, and we've yet to know. We've got the yellow flag out on circuit, but at the moment we haven't got indication that we have a safety car, have we?
No, but I'm sure that we are going to end up with something having to neutralise activity with broken cars on that fast part of the circuit. But for now, let's enjoy it, because you've got Jules Roussel ahead of Ryan Coretti then, and Emanuele Olivieri not having made that best of start. Safety car is now called. So we'll see what the order is at the end of the opening lap, because that kind of incident, of course, all helps the likes of McLaughlin or Behrman or Weldon or Nakamura Berta. So we do now go to control conditions. We had one safety car interruption yesterday, and Jules Roussel has timed it right, because you never know from here on in. As the race resumes, safety cars breed safety cars. It might well be that he's now won this race by getting the move done before the interruption came. So
important to get a good start, and that was a very determined good start as well from the outside of the front row of the grid. Had to hang in there, and Emanuele Olivieri was on the inside line on the run down towards Lisboa, the overtaking place. Let's have a look once again.
So it's a decent start by Olivieri, but not a mega start. Jules Roussel gets a good launch. Don't forget it's a staggered grid, so he's a length back. But look, as they turn into the first corner, he's just ever so slightly in advance. And Ryan Coretti in the blue car in third place gets the tow from both of the cars ahead. So he moves to the outside of Olivieri, gets a bit more of a tow from Roussel, goes round the outside into second place, but it's behind, look, where Simon Zhang is all wrong. Itsuki Sato is the innocent victim. He's absolutely harpooned as Simon Zhang pinballs his way off the barrier. So that's two gone. And then the next one that arrived rather rapidly on the scene coming down to Lisboa is Ki-Hu Lee. But that was good stuff from Ryan Coretti. That was Simon Zhang sideways, and Itsuki Sato suddenly is absolutely harpooned, as I say, by Simon Zhang. From another angle then, they come out of Mandarin. Bit of a wobble from Jules Roussel. Snap of oversteer on the cold tyre, but he managed to save it, whereas Simon Zhang did not. And the Chinese champion out of the race. Now, Finn McLaughlin saw it thus. That's fine, he thinks. The accident's all happening over there on the right-hand side. That's 2 places gained.
Yeah, good positioning there, keeping well out of the way for Finn McLaughlin. And as you say, 2 positions made up, keeping on the left-hand side of the circuit, keeping out of trouble down at Lisboa as well.
That's the 3rd one gained.
So I reckon one of the really important thing when you are one of the very quick drivers, as Keen Nakamura Berta comes into pit lane.
Now, that's bad news, clearly, because that was another driver who was meant to be fighting his way up the order, and Keen Nakamura Berta is going to be pushed back towards his parking area in the pit boxes. And has he run over debris? He's got a problem. They're looking at the steering wheel, looking at the dash, looking at the display. So Nakamura Berta may have a gear issue. It might be an electrical gremlin. Laptop has to be plugged in. He was so quick through practice and qualifying I think he really was so confident going into yesterday's race, and it's just unravelled from there on. And he crashed yesterday, and now he's got a car with a problem, and he's about to go, if he's not careful, a lap down. So big disappointment for Keen Nakamura Berta. 10-lap race this, so we've got a little bit of breathing space with the safety car, and it is definitely technical rather than damage. So I'm afraid to say, as Finn McLaughlin had technical dramas on Thursday, here's another one in need of assistance. Mintimes is the company that operates the cars. Engineers coming from the FFSA, which has a similar way of running the championship. One team runs all the cars.
Yeah, and Finn McLaughlin's problem couldn't be resolved, and it was just fortuitous that they were able to offer another car opportunity for qualifying. And once Finn McLaughlin got in a nicely running car, he was able to show just what he can do on the streets of Macau. But it wasn't until that point. This is really good news. We get the indication now on the timing screen. The safety car is in this lap.
Brilliant.
And with 3 cars that needed to be recovered, that's really good work by the course workers.
Absolutely it is, yes. So the crane at Lisboa getting the car of Qiu Li out of the way, and Simon Zhang's car and Itsuki Sato's cars removed as well. Right, quick update then before we go racing. McLaughlin is 7th, and he started 12th. Munoz, who started 14th, is up into 8th. Weldon is 10th from 15th, and Behrman is 12th, having started 17th.
You've got to stay out of trouble, and that, what you just said is rather proof of that. Avoiding these opening lap problems, Finn McLaughlin did that to great effect, and clearly so did Seb Weldon, because they would have come across both of the accidents starting towards the back of the grid.
Right, this is Emanuele Olivieri's view. We're about to go racing now. Keep everything crossed. Safety cars breed safety cars. The green flag is ready on the timing line. They're still weaving, still getting the tyres back up to temperature. There wasn't a lot in them to start with, so they need to be careful coming out of the very fast R-bend. We had a crash in this corner on a restart in the previous GT race, but we go racing again, and Jules Roussel with a good restart leads Rayan Caretti across the line by half a second. Third is Olivieri. Bansal is 4th. Kimi Chan 5th. Rintaro Sato is in 6th place, and then it's Finn McLaughlin. And again, now the importance of getting a tow is plain to see. You can see Jules Roussel going left and right to try to break the slipstream effect. Look in the background there. There's an effort being made up the inside by Sato against Kimi Chan, and he goes through. Nicely done on the inside of Mandarin. That puts Sato 5th.
Brave place to do it as well. Very, very good manoeuvre indeed. Well done. Great to see these thrilling manoeuvres taking place down at Mandarin, and not always down at Lisboa, which is perhaps the more preferred overtaking manoeuvre. But Sato doing really, really well there. It's a slowing car, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. And that might be Wang Yuzhe as they climb up the hill, we'll see. But look at this for the race lead. Rayan Caretti right on the back of Jules Roussel, and rather cheekily having a look on the inside. It's not really an overtaking place, that, but what he can do is try to force a mistake out of Jules Roussel. So you've got the drivers who were 2nd and 4th in the French Championship, leading the Middle East champion Emanuele Olivieri here, and don't forget he was the winner of that qualifying race yesterday. So let's see what he can do as he plunges downhill again.
And you know, what you can do on this section is to just show an intent, and it could just put you off your stroke, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And one tiny little error on this tight and twisty section of the circuit, there is no room for error. The inevitable is that if you make an error, it's going to be very, very costly indeed. We've got a yellow flag being indicated down at turn 4. I'm sure in due course we'll find out what that is for. No doubt the slowing car that we saw.
Yeah, I think it might be Munoz. So Alexandre Munoz, who's had all sorts of problems after 2 crashes, they can get that through that vehicle access gate, can't they? That's Munoz at San Francisco. So Alexandre Munoz's car hopefully can be pushed back. They need to be quick, but there's still quite a bit of lap to go before the cars get there. So through they will turn. Jules Roussel leading Rayan Caretti, and you can see these two now starting to gap Emanuele Olivieri, aren't they? In 4th place, the yellow car is Ari Bansal, then the black, white, red car, that's Rintaro Sato, carrying the colours his father used to run in Formula 3, and the leaders are coming down towards R-Bend. Olivieri not staying with the top 2, frustratingly.
No, dropping him back just a little bit. The top 2 as they come up towards the start-finish line and complete another lap. Well done to the marshals. Green flag at turn 4, and it was fortuitous that we did have a gap in the barrier. The marshals could get that car to a place of safety. Really, really good work, and good work from race control as well, keeping things going and allowing them time to do that.
change imminent for third place here, because you've now got Ari Bansal crawling all over the back of Emanuele Olivieri as the cars come again down towards Lisboa. Finn McLaughlin is being looked at, so is Emily Cossey for being out of position at the safety car line. We have a move for the lead. Coretti to the inside line. Nicely done. He goes through. Rayan Coretti leads the F4 World Cup.
Where did that come from? Normally you get an early warning that there's going to be a go for the lead, and as they came down towards the corner, it was very, very last minute and beautifully done as well. A new race leader in our Macau F4 race here at Macau, the FIA F4 World Cup here at Macau, and a new race leader.
And he's done that from fourth on the grid, has Rayan Coretti. And he's making very good progress over the course of the weekend. Bear in mind, he started the qualification race 15th on the grid, and he's leading the main race. So talk about making progress and piecing together the weekend. He crashed in qualifying, getting a replay of that move. So he comes now down towards the right-hander of Lisboa. He gets a tow, and I think Jules Roussel thought, no, he's too far back, and Coretti finds a gap, sends it up the inside, and in fairness to Roussel, it gave him racing room rather than turning in and causing a collision.
So often on that run down, you see the car jink out to one side and then go to the other side as well. There was no early warning there, and it was beautifully executed. Absolutely super stuff. And you're right, what you can see is the journey over the course of 4 days, getting better and better and better. Let's talk about some of the fastest sectors as well, because Finn McLaughlin, coming from the back of the grid, has gone overall best in sector 2. Sebastian Weldon, pole position yesterday, he's gone overall best in sector 3 as well.
Now you're looking back from Emanuele Olivieri's car at Ari Bansal as they come from Fisherman's down towards our bend in this 10-lap race led by this blue car of Rayan Coretti, chased by Jules Roussel, who now wants to do to Coretti what he had done to him the previous lap. In other words, get the tow from here all the way down to Lisboa. Olivieri, though, can't match them for pace. The fastest lap's just been done by Seb Weldon, who's up into 7th place. Coretti tries now to break the tow, goes one side, tries to break that slipstream effect that is being handed on a plate to Jules Roussel. If these two squabble, that might allow Olivieri back into the game as they go through Mandarin now, down towards Lisboa. Staying in the wheel tracks is Roussel. Coretti tries to go one side and then the other to break the tow. And which way does Jules Roussel commit? He goes to the outside line, which he's brave. He's going to be alongside. He almost gets crowded. He can't go round the outside, but look at Olivieri right back with them.
Yeah, they're battling so close that the gap has come down between the top two, battling for the lead of the race, and Olivieri, who started on pole position, up into the tight and twisty section. Super race from these, and the top two still have a little bit of a gap, but then they go into braking zones for the corners in the tight and twisty section. They all close up together. Seb Weldon has gone overall best in sector 1. Finn McLaughlin briefly goes overall best in sector 2, and then that's taken away by Thomas Berman, who's down there in 9th place. Boy, we've got some talent in this field.
We have indeed, and the likes of Weldon and Berman are still not done in terms of improvements. Now this is Finn McLaughlin, he's 6th, Seb Weldon behind him, closing up, as Alan says, fastest lap of the race to Weldon, then you can see the pace that he's got, edging that little bit nearer to Finn McLaughlin. McLaughlin has done fewer laps around the circuit this weekend than anybody else, because effectively he missed all the running on Thursday with a car that wasn't very compliant, and he didn't do a great deal in the qualifying session either. So on the Saturday, on Friday I should say. So it's been a tough weekend for McLaughlin. This replacement chassis has catapulted him back up the order, but he still doesn't have quite the same mileage as the others who've had healthy cars all weekend. It's all concertinaing up again as Coretti leads Roussel, leads Olivieri coming out of Melco. 4th is Ari Bansal, the Indian driver, and that is 2nd place Jules Roussel. He's fallen back a little bit down through Black Sands though.
Certainly has, yeah. This is where the circuit opens up now as they go down towards the completion of another lap. It's going to be a completion of 5 laps as they come across the line, and the race leader with a little advantage there, not the sort of advantage that we saw going on to the previous lap. However, everything can change now if you get the slipstream, although I think that might have been broken a little bit now for Coretti at the front of the field.
But I think Weldon is about to have a go at McLaughlin. Let's have a look in the background, because as they come now, the change has happened. In fact, Weldon has done it. He's gone by, going into turn one. Look, the white car is ahead. This is Finn McLaughlin looking back from the Red Bull liveried entry of the Red Bull Junior driver, but very definitely Weldon with another demon lap has gone through, and Thomas Behrman behind has done the fastest lap of the race. Olivieri not able to stay with the top two, still having to defend from Bansal.
And the overall fastest lap of the race so far has gone the way of Thomas Behrman now. He's up there in 8th position, and in front of him he's got Finn McLaughlin and Sebastian Weldon. But the overall best lap of the race at 2:24.828 is for Thomas Behrman down there in 8th place. The good news is that we've got some running now. They can get themselves in a groove, and that is exactly what they're doing.
So Itsuki Sato we lost on lap 1, Simon Zhang we lost, Kyuho Lee we lost as well, but up front it is Ryan Caretti, who was 0.7 of a second ahead when they came across the line. The onboard in that graphic showing you the view of Emanuele Olivieri, who could really rather do without Ari Bansal behind him. Bansal has been very impressive this season. He's done a few British F4 races in the championship, also the non-championship races at the British Grand Prix. He's won the GB4 title, and 4 days ago he turned old enough to be accepted into the race, and here he is running in 4th position.
It's amazing the kind of experience you can get at such an early age now, isn't it? When you start your single-seater journey, which these cars are very much part of it, and introduced. It was going to be the first of the steps of the single-seater ladder that you could stay with right the way through until Formula One. And for the first time this year, supporting the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, we saw Formula One competing with Formula 2, competing with Formula 3 and Formula 4 as well, the non-championship race that you alluded to just a couple of moments ago. 5 laps are complete now, and the advantage was 0.7 of a second. I fancy it might have come down a little.
Yeah, let's have a look. Ari Bansal has fallen back through Black Sands as well. He's dropped off the tail of Olivieri. So, yeah, everything that Caretti does, Roussel tries to match. Stays in the wheel tracks, if you like, hoping that he can just get back into that toe, and then he'll be dragged along. But Caretti 7/10 ahead, he becomes 4/10 ahead. Fastest lap of the race done by Jules Roussel. Emanuele Olivieri on that lap is another 4/10 slower, so he's dropping away, unfortunately, from the man on pole position. His pace not as good today as it needs to be.
Need to watch Sebastian Weldon down there in 6th place on the tail of Sato, and he has just put in, has Sebastian Weldon again the fastest lap of the race. He's had that accolade a couple of times as they go side by side for the lead once more on the run down towards Lisboa.
Caretti fends off Roussel, who tries the inside up to San Francisco, but what Jules Roussel here is doing is trying everything at Lisboa, and he's also discovering the type of defence he's liable to get after repeated opportunities to challenge Ryan Caretti. He knows now what Caretti has in his armoury to fend him off. We know now that Finn McLaughlin's going to be looked at post-race for that safety car line infringement. Interesting that his car doesn't have the pace of Weldon, because having lost out to Seb, he's fallen back into the clutches almost of Thomas Behrman.
Yes, he has, but it will be good to see Finn McLaughlin finish this race, and he can look back on the weekend and be pretty proud of everything that he has achieved over the course of 4 days, because 2 of them were pretty non-existent. Missed free practice 1, didn't really complete a lap. Missed free practice 2, didn't complete a lap through no fault of his own, through the some technical problem with the car, and then the team deciding that a new chassis could be used for qualifying, straight into qualifying, having not done laps around the circuit, and now he finds himself in 7th place. That's not bad.
No, it's not as good as it was, sadly, but it's been a very tough weekend. So now really it's about mileage, it's about experience. And although he's set for FIA F3 next year, it would not be a surprise if he didn't come back to Macau and exorcise some ghosts. There he is, look, with Thomas Behrman almost pushing him around Melco. So the race leader, Ryan Caretti, only 4/10 up at the end of the previous lap. There is Seb Weldon, look, and that's been a very, very good recovery. He led as far as turn 3 yesterday in crash. He started 15th and he's up into 6th. They don't think you can't overtake and don't think you can't make progress around here, especially in a single-seater, which is narrow like this. And he's going to be on the back of Rintaro Sato before long. So the race leaders have just gone by, and 4/10 is down again to 3/10. Roussel is on for another bid for the lead, isn't he?
When it was 4/10 on the previous lap, there was still a potential for side-by-side on the run down towards Lisboa, and there is going to be again. Oh, so close between these top two. Having a look down on the inside is Roussel as they go down towards, and this is an epic battle between the top two for the lead on the run down towards Lisboa.
You've got another one between Sato, Banson and Weldon in the background as now Ryan Coretti comes back on the outside line down to Lisboa, but Jules Roussel asserts himself. Roussel leads, and then there, look, Sato, Weldon goes ahead of Banson as they turn into Lisboa. So another place gain for a charging Sebastian Weldon. Great drive this, and a wonderful battle for the lead. It's trading now between Coretti and Roussel. Superb stuff.
Absolutely superb stuff, and we've got this lap and 2 more to go in the 10 laps for the FIA F4 World Cup Macau Formula 4 race here. Absolutely super stuff in the top 6, all battling it out for a victory here at Macau, which is something very, very special for a single-seater driver. Oh, it goes wrong! It goes wrong! Coretti! Goodness me!
And who's managed to get past safely? Yellow flag shown, so it's Roussel with a big lead. Olivieri, I think, had squeezed through, but as the car was bouncing across the road, did it take anybody with him? Coretti there up against the wall. It's going to be another safety car to move him. I think everybody else got through, but it was a bit touch and go. So yeah, Olivieri survived it, so did Bansal, Sato, Weldon. They have got through, and Ryan Coretti just went a little bit wide, bounced off the barrier, and that, after a really impressive drive, is the race over. And the order behind him then, look, as they come down towards the Malco hairpin behind Jules Roussel, is that second is Olivieri, third is Sato, fourth is Weldon, fifth is Bansal, sixth is McLaughlin. Here's the replay, safety car deployed, and you see here Ryan Coretti, the back breaks away, snap of oversteer as he gets into the corner. He's offline, he's heading for the wall at this point, and he knows it. He tries to fight the car, bang, in it goes, bang, in again at the front, and from that point on, it's game over. And for Olivieri, absolute panic. Where is that car going to end up?
That was beautifully avoided, wasn't it? It's all split-second decisions, and Olivieri gets past the car. You don't know where it's going to finish. It's still moving. It's still swerving, and there is a diminishing room of tarmac to get past.
You saw Seb Weldon stand on the brakes, and there was tyre smoke. Right, safety car deployed. If they're as quick as they have been at doing this, we might get one lap in, but I'm not convinced. It's got to be done on this lap, hasn't it? I don't think it's going to be able to be done in time, but hey, we'll see, we'll see. But Jules Roussel back into the lead from Emanuele Olivieri. Real shame that Ryan Coretti, 15th on the grid yesterday, and having led this race, perhaps he deserved better, but it illustrates that the tiniest error can be punished. So race order, Jules Roussel leading, Emanuele Olivieri in second place, Rintaro Sato in third, Sam Weldon fourth, Ari Bansal is fifth, and Finn McLaughlin is sixth. Right, now this is Emanuele Olivieri's view. Have a look at what's going on ahead. Look for the blue car of Coretti. He's sideways there at maternity, and he survived that one, but only just. But clearly from here on in, Coretti's car is struggling. He's either asked a bit much of the tyres or he's over-driving, and they head downhill. Olivieri getting a little bit closer. There, he's slightly wider look than Olivieri, who skims up towards the brickwork. And then now, Coretti turns in, the back breaks away, and he's out wide, and crunch. One whack, comes across the road, another whack, and Olivieri is thinking, stop, 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 I've got to get round you. He does. It's not that easy for people behind, but really, you could perhaps slightly flippantly say it was a tank slapper that began 3 corners earlier, and eventually, that's the outcome, a broken car.
You just don't know. If you're following, you just don't know where that car is going to finish up. You can make an assessment of where it might, but you really have to hope that luck is on your side as well. So tight and twisty, that section. So disappointed, because the battle between those two was superb to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lap after lap after lap. And, well, Who is it that said last year in single-seaters, you have to have a go? I think it was Freddie Slater,
It was Freddie Slater,
Yeah. You have to have a go, and you do. And we were treated to a great battle at the front of the field from those two. And you can only feel very, very sorry for Ryan Coretti. You know, coming up San Francisco Hill, when you saw the first of those little moments, just upsets the flow, doesn't it? And one little tiny moment leads to another, and ultimately that's the result.
So the cars all going round the recovery vehicle, which is on hand, but if that's not off the track by the end of this lap, we have a result, because they will go to the checkered flag in this order. Pedro Gutierrez, the safety car driver there, Portuguese racer, very, very experienced of dealing with the safety car processes at Macau. He's been the safety car driver for a decade plus, and also used to race here in touring cars. He is the man at the wheel of the safety car, leading the field round. But yeah, I fear we ain't going to get one more lap, just because of the nature of how this all has to happen. But what a race while it lasted. Brilliant stuff. Please, can we have the F4 World Cup on the timetable next year?
Yes, indeed. I think they've rather booked their appointment, haven't they? Absolutely superb. We said it from the first time we saw F4 cars here at Macau. They're just perfectly suited. They are nimble, they're quick, and there's young drivers with a huge amount of talent and ambition as well. Just had a message from the FIA Touring Car Commission. Is it president? I think he is. Alan
so.
Gow,
Oh, yes.
who has just said the weather here at Macau today is absolutely perfect. He's arrived here for the next race that we'll have here at Macau, the 10-lap race for the Macau gear race, and it is beautiful, isn't it? We've got clear skies, we've got sunshine. Go on.
Why is the Touring Car Commission president bothering with the weather? Shouldn't he be thinking about touring cars, not the weather? I mean, we know it's sunny, Alan. We can see that. Well done, Mr. Gow. Your weather forecasting career beckons. Genius stuff, yeah. I'd never have thought it was sunny and perfect.
He's being helpful.
Was it?
Yes, we're in a little box, aren't
okay.
we?
All
yeah,
right.
we don't know.
We'll give him that. I'm afraid to say, then, the safety car is going to have to take us to the checkered flag. And look at Ryan Coretti, hunched down against the barrier, distraught, and actually sobbing by the look of the jerky body movements, and that was a devastating outcome for what had been a really impressive race. And Ryan Coretti will remember Macau, but for all the wrong reasons. And Jules Roussel then is on target to take honours in the FIA F4 World Cup. He was runner-up in the French Championship with 2 wins this season, and it looks as though he is going to be a history-making first ever winner of the FIA F4 World Cup. Great racing it has given us. Just a shame that this one has to end behind the safety car.
You're right. And when you see the really forlorn Ryan Coretti, you can see so clearly that how upset he is. You realise how much it means to a young driver to be on the podium or to take a race win, to take victory here at Macau, because it is, for a driver, a huge, huge challenge. Well, I think he can look back at this. He's dealing with the disappointment, the upset now, but he can look back and be very, very proud of the race that we just enjoyed, because that was thrilling. And we've seen a few single-seater races over the years here at Macau. That was a thrilling race.
Keen Nakamura Berta, just to finish the story, did rejoin from the pits, but was so far behind. Even now, he has not caught up, even with the safety car. So he is going to finish the race in 14th place. He will gain the position at the expense of the rather tearful Ryan Coretti. So the car Jules Roussel will lead Emanuele Olivieri and Rintaro Sato to the end. Sato, another driver here who's made good. Third, he was in the order, and 11th he started. So somebody else proving that overtaking is possible. And Ryan Coretti's car goes down the hill on the back of the flatbed. The road is clear, but sadly we've run out of laps. The checkered flag will greet Jules Roussel this time. It'll be that traditional ceremonial release up to the checkered flag, but the FIA F4 World Cup is going to be taken then by Jules Roussel, Emanuele Olivieri and Rintaro Sato for the podium.
And although we've finished the race under the control of the safety car for that incident, We did have some really good laps. We saw the drivers being able to get into a flow of the race, which is something that Macau sometimes doesn't really happen, because you get a stoppage and then you get another stoppage, or rather than a stoppage, an interruption to the race with the safety car, and they just want a few laps that they can piece together and begin to get into a race flow, and we did get that. We got a thrilling race for our FIA F4 World Cup, and we have a World Cup winner who is very soon going to be released from behind the safety car to take the checkered flag once they've negotiated the Melco hairpin, run down the hill through Black Sands towards Fisherman's, and then R Bend, and the checkered flag, which is already being prepared down on the starting gantry under the control of the BMW safety car. And a good view from Emanuele Oliveri's car. Didn't quite have the pace of the top two during that race, having got off the line not too bad, but Gilles Rossell and Ryan Caretti did seem to be the pick of the field in that race. See how tight this is down the twisty section through Police and Moorish onto Donna Maria. That barrier on the exit of Moorish has very often claimed a lot of cars in whatever form, single-seaters, touring cars, GT cars. It's not claimed too many this weekend thus far. But, we've had some unusual places to see cars crashing over the course of 4 days.
I'd still like to know exactly what was happening for Finn McLaughlin, because as we'd said during the race, he was falling away from Seb Weldon and was under attack from Thomas Behrman. So yeah, I'd like to see Finn back next year and see what he could do with a competitive car all weekend.
Yeah, sometimes you have a really unlucky 4 days here at Macau and you come back all the stronger the following year. And I have a feeling that may be what we see for Finn McLaughlin. We've seen it so far this weekend for Freddie Slater. We've seen him have bad luck at previous visits to Macau. And Finn McLaughlin can be very proud of that. So too can his family. It's been a character-building weekend at Macau, I think, for Finn McLaughlin. And to finish the race in 6th place, which is where he is now, can be pretty pleased with that, with the limited running in his hand. Right, safety car is peeled off, checkered flag is prepared, and there we go, across the line goes the race winner. Checkered flag goes to Gilles Rossell. He takes the win from Emanuele Oliveri from Retaro Salto on the 3rd step of the podium. Sebastian Weldon, who started right the way towards the back of the grid, finishes up in 4th. Arai Bansal is in 5th place, and in 6th place, completing the top 6, is Finn McLaughlin. And Thomas Behrman, who was for quite a few of those laps putting in a fastest lap of the race, finishes up in 7th place. Well, we can be pleased with that. We got a race.
We did get a race, and it was a good race as well. And if anybody thought that F4 wasn't worthy of being on the Grand Prix bill, well, think again. Because that, as a support single-seater race, was very good indeed. And we've been saying for season after season that these are the really good cars to have here, because they're not that wide, they're not that big, they're not too powerful. And bearing in mind, we're talking of drivers here who kind of at best are 16 years of age. To do what they do on this kind of circuit, it is very impressive indeed. The drivers in the single-seater races at Macau are far, far younger than ever. We talk about the way the event has evolved and the sport has evolved, but it's another of those side products. And people say, oh yes, but you know, in the 80s and the 90s there weren't quite so many accidents in the single-seater races, but the drivers were maybe 5 years older, if not more. And now people come into the sport from karting into single-seater, into car racing from 14 onwards. And so the drivers that you're looking at are very young indeed, not that experienced, and they will, none of them have encountered anything like this. So incidents are inevitable, but I think the way that the likes of Rossell, Olivieri, and before his accident, Caretti, and certainly Sebastian Weldon have raced, and Arai Bansal in fact as well, mighty impressive. And Emanuele Pirot, as the president of the FIA Single-Seater Commission, who really pushed to have this event here, I think deserves a bit of acknowledgement. It was a good idea. Now, Emanuele, can we have more of the same next year? We'd like them back.
I love Macau. I love the Macau Grand Prix, and I love Formula 4 cars around the gear circuit as well. It is just, they just fit very nicely. We said it a number of times during the first year that they competed for the Macau Grand Prix in 2020. They just look right, and they give us great racing. They are narrow enough to allow little moments going up through the tight and twisty section. And
the ethos of this, with people coming from around the globe onto a level playing field, where you've got F4 running in every continent, it takes you back to the original ethos of the Macau Grand Prix, this end-of-season shootout, if you like, to see who is best. It's all very well being the French champion or the British champion, but are you better than each other? Well, this allows you to find out.
It does, and of course it's the hugely proud moment in a few minutes' time where you get the drivers on the podium. We will see a huge spread of international flags showing on the backdrop on the podium over the course of today. And you'll also hear a lot of different national anthems as well. And that is what Macau is so about. It's about a race like no other. It's a place like no other in the world. There isn't really a motorsport event quite like the Macau Grand Prix. Very often over the recent years that I've been here, it's coincided with a Grand Prix somewhere over in America, if it was the US Grand Prix or potentially the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But you know that the teams are all keeping a very close eye on what's happening in Macau, because a number of these drivers are already signed up to be part of young development driver programs associated with Formula One teams, and Macau is just magical. And I tell you what, Jules Roussel is about to experience that and then some when he climbs out of the car down in Parc Fermé, experiences the joy of a win here at Macau. And you can hear the applause in the background as well, the media attention, and the podium is coming up.
You might be able to hear from our winning drivers. Emanuele Olivieri steps out, goes to be weighed, which is all part of the technical process. There's a very, very happy race winner, though. Jules Roussel clambering out of his car. Olivieri, I think, will be very disappointed with that. On paper, he should have been a shoe-in, given the way that he went yesterday. But Jules Roussel, brilliant start, got himself in the lead. And although he lost out to Rayan Karate, he was not to be denied. And the driver he's raced against, Ritaro Sato, for third place, there to celebrate as well. Sato will be delighted with that, given that he started 11th after his penalty from yesterday. And a very happy Jules Roussel. Some rather more somber faces from the drivers that didn't get to the end, but Jules Roussel is very happy indeed.
I love these scenes from Parc Fermé. I love the celebration, the joy. Can I stand on the car? Yes, you can. You're a winner at Macau. And that's the picture we want. And with the backdrop in the background, the 72nd Macau Grand Prix. I love the fact that he asked if he could stand on the car. It's not my car, I need to check. Yes, you can. They're quite strong.
Alex Le Gui there. He's going to have a word with the winners for us in a moment, and the trophies will be presented for, if you like, the Macau Formula 4 race by representatives of Melco Resorts and Entertainment, and then Emanuele Pirro will hand over the trophy on behalf of the FIA to the race winner. Jules Roussel then puts himself in the history books, and once he's gone through the process of taking off his gloves, undoing his helmet, taking off his hands device, and taking off his helmet, and taking off his balaclava, and taking his earplugs out, finally we'll get a word.
There's a winner. There's a winner at Macau, and I think it'll sink in a couple of moments' time. We'll hear from Jules Roussel down in Parc Fermé with Alexander Le Gui.
You provided us with a lot of battles there, brilliantly executed. You kept it clean. Job done.
Yeah, I'm really happy. All of the week we had the pace, and now we concretize. So hard battle all of the race. We have to be here since the beginning. Make a great start, overtake Olivieri at the first corner. And after big battle with Ryan and overtake him in the few last moments. So I'm really happy.
How much have you enjoyed your Macau debut?
I think for now it's my best race of my life. in terms of experience on the results. So I'm really happy, and I will cry to Macau with only good memories.
Amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
I think we're going to hear a lot about Jules Roussel over the next few years. We'll see where his single-seater path takes him next. He's had 2 seasons in the Championnat de France Formula 4, and there he returns the crash helmet to the car, and in a few minutes will be on the podium. Provisional result though, Jules Roussel the winner from a somewhat disappointed Emanuele Olivieri and a delighted Rintaro Salso 11th to 3rd. Sebastian Weldon then, a really impressive drive, 15th to 4th ahead of Ari Bansal, and Finn McLaughlin 12th to 6th. Thomas Behrman started 17th and he bagged 7th from Kimi Chan, Marcus Chung and Gino Trapper 19th to 10th. Thiago Rodriguez 11th, and behind him there was Wang Yuzhe, Emily Cotti, and after the pit stop Keen, Nakamura Berta. We lost Ryan Coretti, Alex Munoz, Li Qiuho, Simon Zhang and Itsuki Sato. Well, certainly F4 has given us some great racing and some drama as well, and Ryan Coretti is going to take quite some time, I think, to get over that accident. You could see just how distraught he was. It's a great shame for him. It's a great shame it ended up preventing us from the last couple of laps worth of racing, but Jules Roussel taking the advantage ahead of Emanuele Olivieri and Rintaro Sato 3rd. They'll be on the podium shortly at the end of the FIA F4 World Cup, the Macau Formula 4 race. So the drivers are ready to make their way onto the podium. Jules Roussel, Emanuele Olivieri and Rintaro Sato, top 3. And they will be atop the podium very shortly. There, the podium awaits. The doors in a few moments will open. The trophies will arrive. The presenters will be